Come on, head up just like that. Just like that. Gotta carry that weight like that.
Mama Africa needs you, needs me. Keep fighting, don't stop, roll up.
No name, no passport, no, nobody waits for you to know more. Nobody waits in this underground airport. Where do you belong? I said.
Censoring our leaders, disrespect frontline workers, criminalize our future, try and divert our purpose.
To be loud and proud, my friends get it all out. The shame, the doubt had me hiding what I'm about, because my old projection was from my own protection. I didn't know I had a choice, no longer need permission, cause I can't be holding back spiritual ammunition. I've been storing my voice, now it's just pouring out. I'm boiling over it, over all the fear and shit. My intuition, into it, getting into it, cause I am tired of all the things that people tell me.
The rising of the seas, by the rising of the seas, the day may yet be lost, and the empty world tossed on the rising seas. On the rising of the seas, by the rising of the seas.
But the good gon' come.
And the media don't eat what they're feeding us. I wish it was hope, but it's the same greed and fear that just might tear us apart right down at the seams again. But if you trust like I do, go grab your thread and needle, cause we're stitching this back together for the weak and the feeble, for the rich and the poor. It's not good versus evil. We the brother, we the mother, we the sister, we all equal. We the ones to form a more perfect union for we the people.
You can't keep me quiet. I've got something to say. You can't keep me silent. You're gonna hear it today. You can't keep me quiet. I've got something to say. You can't keep me silent. You're gonna hear it today.
No justice, no peace. I'm gonna scream from the top of my lungs up and down these streets. I'd be damned.
Lord, help us today. I can't take no more. Why does it have to be this way?
Love over everything.
Hey, hello. Thank you all for coming to celebrate Hope Rises 2. I'm Liz Stuckey-Sunday, Executive Director of Music to Life. And as many of you may know, Music to Life was founded by me and my dad, Noel Paul Stuckey of the 60s folk and civil rights trio Peter, Paul, and Mary, to support the work of musician change agents in communities around the country. So I'm excited to be here with you all for the release of Hope Rises 2, our second compilation album, featuring 16 incredible grassroots social change musicians from the US and Canada. And before introducing your hosts and artists for the night, I want to acknowledge those who made tonight and this project possible. First, working behind the scenes for tonight's show is our amazing team. Brandon O'Sullivan, producer, and I can still hear him in my ears, which is very interesting. Maybe he means for that to happen, but I'm not sure. And Sarah Morg is our assistant producer, and Randy Harrith is on PR and media. And I want to thank a few special contributors to the album. Crooked Cove helped with CD replication. Paige Manisi helped coordinate all the logistics, and she's actually doing some chat work tonight. Neil Eckstein helped to master the album with some help from Dad and created that amazing trailer that you just saw. And a few wonderful friends gave their early support to the album. I want to give a shout out to them. Anmal Mehra, Chris Trottingwolf, Rick Hesh, Howie Rashaba, and Sherry Rosenberg. We appreciate you all. All right, Dad, you want to join me on the virtual stage? It's usually the other way around. Usually you bring me onto your stage. But here we are.
I have done that. I'm just remembering, the stage at Kerrville, with crickets in the background and lots of smiley people and one artist, one song each. Wham, bam, wham, bam, wham, bam. But oh man, I'm so grateful to Kerrville for letting us host the first of Music to Life participants, and a special shout out, as you suggested, to Rod Kennedy and the late Rod Kennedy and Dallas Allen for believing in us and giving us a start way back in the year 2000. You remember that?
Oh my gosh, I do. And of course, I am delighted with your help and the help of so many at how much Music to Life has grown. We've grown so far beyond a songwriting contest. We're now a full service national nonprofit that helps musicians across geographies, genres, and generations step off the stage and into activism.
Yeah, we have some amazing examples of artists with us tonight. And to introduce our online audience, should we get started?
We definitely want to introduce everybody. I just want to let you all know that you're in for a wild ride, because we're going to introduce you to just about every artist on this Hope Rises album in under 90 minutes.
And some panelists.
Yes, that is next, because go ahead. We can't do this alone.
No, it was, we had, like 300 songs to go through. We could not have done it with the review panelists without the review panelists who help us screen our finalists. And are joining us tonight, Maya Jupiter. Thank you so much, dear. Recording artist and co-founder of Artivist Entertainment. And Simon Tam. Hello, dude. Founder of the Slants and Civil Liberties Activist. The Music to Life team started with, as I said, almost 300 submissions. And Maya and Simon and industry experts across all aspects, including me, the music expert, helped us narrow it down to the top 16, which we are incredibly proud to share with you tonight. So what do you think about this virtual presentation? Are you guys ready for this, Maya?
I'm so ready. I'm so excited. I had a really good time listening to the songs. It was really a pleasure and a privilege to just listen to the artists, talk about what's important to them, bare their souls. And it's weird I'm not as an artist, I don't like critiquing, but of course we had very, structured categories on what we should be listening to and how to judge it, because it's all, subjective. So how do you judge music, right? But
absolutely.
But I really found some wonderful artists that I would love to hear more from in the future.
Yeah. And Simon, I feel like you do this. Yeah, you do this pretty regularly yourself, right? With the work that you do. So
a bit. So with my nonprofit, the Slants Foundation, we spend quite a bit of time in the worlds of art and activism and helping people hone their voice by helping them learn how to use art in a way that creates social impact. So for me, this project was truly a joy because, it transcended many different genres and many different social issues that are so important in our world today. And I loved hearing people articulate their passions through their music. And I think it really came through. And it was a tough time deciding between all of them because so many important issues and so many fascinating perspectives and ways of exploring the medium. But I think tonight is a great event in that we'll be able to kind of cover a lot of ground and hear about the kinds of things that matter to musicians, and more importantly, demonstrate how music is a fundamental part of creating social change.
Amen to that, Simon.
Amen.
Nicely. Did you read that off a prompter right in front of you? That was beautiful.
That's great. That was beautiful.
Well, thank you.
So I guess we'll get started.
I want to bring Thea Hopkins, a longtime friend. Like we were just talking a few minutes ago, 20 years ago, Peter, Paul, and Mary did a song, Jesus on the Wire, that was written by Thea. We've stayed in touch over the years, and I only had one vote, but I certainly voted for the song, The Ghost of Emmett Till, which is also the grand prize winner of the 22nd Great American Song Contest last year. It was selected from over 1,900 entries from 42 countries. So we are honored to include the song on Hope Rises 2 and to welcome you. Come on, Thea, say hello.
Hi, Noel. How are you? So nice to be here tonight.
Yeah, it's great. your range of writing has always held up a beacon of hope for those who are under great duress. You know, Emmett Till, certainly, and Jesus on the Wire, James Meredith death. What draws you to the underdog, you know, and makes you want to defend them?
Well, I think I write about topics that spark my interest, and also that I see as part of the social fabric, which sometimes I feel should be more central to the to national conversation. And you know, I think of myself as a musical journalist when I'm writing about these issues. You know, I think of, you know, the who, what, when, where, and why of a situation, and, you know, within the context of 3 verses, you know, I tried in the chorus, I tried to get that across, and my goal is always to create a sense of empathy and connection for a listener who may not necessarily be listening to these issues, or necessarily concerned. But so I feel very, you know, gratified when people respond to the songs, obviously. So
that's a big, I mean, that is a big step. I find that occasionally in my own writing, but I'm much more tucked in to personal feelings. But you are a change maker. I mean, you are reaching out to change communities around you. How have you found the impact of this song in your performances?
Well, I actually am surprised that it had got the attention that it's gotten. I wrote it, or the genesis of the song began when I was over in England in August 2014, and everything that was going on in Ferguson and Michael Brown, and I was amazed at the coverage when in the UK. It was just, it was overwhelming how much they were covering it. And also that month, I had remembered that Emmett Till had been killed in August, you know, but in 1955. And so I thought about this, and I thought, you know, I had actually thought after Obama, these were kind of issues that were, they were kind of resolving themselves slowly but surely, you know. But I felt over a period of time, I wanted to write this song and bring the past into the present. And that's what and it wasn't just Michael Brown, you know, it was Philando Castile, Breonna Taylor, all of these, you know, Tamir Rice, all of these incidents, which really are not yet the past. They're still present.
Absolutely.
So that's why I wrote the song ultimately. And I'm, you know, and also I have to say to you, Noel, that when I contacted you, when I recorded this, when I was about to record the song, I was like, oh, I'm going to ask Noel if he'd like to add his voice and, you know, guitar to it. And you did. And it was so wonderful to have you on the song. It's so beautiful what you added to that. So, you know, thank you.
Well, let's hear how well I did.
You did a great job.
It's all about you, your voice, and the story. Let's listen to Emmett Till.
There was no moonlight when Emmett Till was taken from his bed that night. Risen at a white girl on a summer day. A 14-year-old black boy would end up in a grave. The ghost of Emmett Till walks across this land, still waiting for America. The ghost of Emmett Till walks across this land, still waiting for America to take his hand.
So beautiful. I remember hearing that for the first time and getting chills. Thank you so much for writing that song. Up next, I am happy to introduce James Kahn. James Caan began his career as an emergency room doctor and has since written, performed, and produced 6 CDs. His new album, By the Rising of the Sea, is a collection of original sea shanties, musically traditional, but about modern environmental challenges such as climate change, COVID-19, the refugee crisis that we see, and all the ramifications of global warming. It's currently listed on the upcoming first ballot for the Grammy Awards in the Best Folk Album category. The title song, The Rising of the Sea, is featured on our Hope Rises 2 album and was a finalist in the International Acoustic Music Awards. The music video has also garnered awards in several film festivals. Hi, James. Where is James?
I'm right here.
Hey.
Hey, how are you?
Good. Nice to meet you.
Nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
Tell me what inspired you to write this song.
Well, initially, I've been involved in social change, progressive movements since I was a teenager in the '60s, anti-Vietnam and civil rights, and music was always a huge part of that. It was like the fuel of the engine of social change. We Shall Overcome, of course, you see in all the documentaries, but I have to say, Blowing in the Wind and If I Had a Hammer from Peter, Paul, and Mary were enormously formative for me, but personally, but also for the movement as a whole. And the idea of music being involved in social change has just always been inspirational to me.
Beautiful. I really enjoyed listening to this song too. Let's check out the music video for it.
Great.
By the rising of the seas, the day may yet be lost, and the empty world tossed on the rising seas. Yet may we mark this vision well, and evermore take heed from the call of the rising seas, and turn around our foundering ship by every word and deed in the name of the rising seas. The rising of the seas, by the rising of the seas, the day may yet be lost, and the empty world tossed on the rising seas. By the rising of the seas, by the rising of the seas, the day may yet be lost, and the empty world tossed on the rising seas.
I got to say that I was never really that much into sea shanties until I heard your song. And then it just allowed me to dive into such a beautiful and immersive world, particularly with the vocals and the melodies and the storytelling. So thank you for your work.
Thank you.
Now, our next guest is Sapphire, a seasoned multi-versatile singer from Philadelphia. Her comforting vocals are best described as warm, sultry, yet powerful, all wrapped up in one. Sapphire's writing style has demonstrated peace, love, inspiration, and education. And her goal is to inspire, heal, and encourage everyone. So please, let's welcome Sapphire.
Hello, how you doing?
Hey, so great to hear from you. So we would love to learn more about the song that you have for this album. But I think for me as an artist and activist, I would love to better get a sense of who you are as someone looking to create social change. How do you hold those two worlds of someone passionate about activism as well as that role of being a creator as a musician?
Well, first, I'm an educator. That's number one. I've been an educator for over 30 years. And so being creative was just something that I've always enjoyed doing. And when, during the shutdown is when my creative juices really started flowing in the house for 3 months. And this song actually wasn't even supposed to be released. I was supposed to write a different song, but because we were experiencing such sadness during that time, I had to write something that would get a message out to the entire world, something that would bring everyone together or stop whatever was happening, because I was going through such sadness and I wanted to create a song or put out a message that would just get to the entire world.
I think sometimes we'll find that art has this sense of urgency, that sometimes it's us driving it and sometimes it's the art itself driving us. And so,
Yeah.
what do you think the song says about your own work as an educator, as an artist?
Well, I think that it actually, it sets the bar a little much higher, because I'm not just creating music, I am touching on issues that can help change or possibly change the world. So it's on its own, world on its own stage by itself, So yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for your work, and let's go ahead and dive into it. And thank you for helping change the world through your music.
Thank you so much.
No peace? I'm gonna scream from the top of my lungs up and down these streets. I'd be damned!
Lord, help us today. I can't take no more. Why does it have to be this way? I'm tired of being sick, tired. Woo. Black and brown, being held down to the ground floor, not to make a dance sound. There is no we in united, so what are we to do? I know that we are through with all this hatred stew. I'm not eating it no more. My body's full, it's coming out my pores. Oh, help us, Lord. Oh, help us.
And then she says, love over everything. Thank you so much for that, Sapphire. Okay, now I get to sound a little bit like an NPR host as this next video plays. Okay, so hit it, Brandon. Waiting, because we want you to go to your phones and scan that QR code, or I'm on so much like my father, or visit the web link in the chat to get your very own hot off the press copy of this amazing commemorative CD. Or perhaps you're interested in the merch, a tote bag, a magnet, an autographed poster. Any of these items make a perfect gift for your music-loving friend or your social justice advocate, but they're also super cool to just own yourself. So we make it easy for you to order by holding that camera phone up to the QR code, clicking on the site, selecting your items. Payment is securely recorded by credit card. Any questions? info@music2life.org, and we appreciate your purchase. We're going to be giving shout outs. Hopefully Sarah has my cell phone handy. We're going to give shout outs to everybody who purchases on the air as the purchases come in. So we're super excited. So again, it's kind of like NPR. It's fun. I've never done this before. I do want to mention that the CD cover and merch were designed exclusively for us, for Music to Life, by our very own Randy Harris. So I want to thank her. And this is a super proud mother moment. The Hope Rises 2 logo was created by none other than my son, McIntyre Sunday of Cosmic Potato Arts. Super cool. And proceeds tonight support, as you might imagine, our work with musician changemakers. So we are actively recruiting hundreds of these artists a year to help them develop and grow their own music-driven programs that serve communities in need around the country. So these are artists that are going to work with their music in immigration advocacy centers, prisons, youth empowerment groups, health and wellness initiatives, climate change programs, substance misuse prevention efforts. So these artists, as we are talking about, have the power to affect and influence every aspect of our lives. So your purchases help us to help them make a difference. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
You know, up next, we're going to introduce Kristen Granger, the voice of contemporary folk string band Kristen and Granger and True North. She was named by the Bluegrass Situation as one of the women who wrote our 2020 soundtrack, alongside Dolly Parton and Brandi Carlile. In 2020, Kristen also took first place in the USA Songwriting Competition in the folk category, second place overall, and her songs have won and been finalists as the nation's most prestigious festival songwriting competitions. Kristen co-founded She's Speaking with two other songwriters, a project devoted to amplifying women's voice and artistry. so it can be heard by all people. Hiya, Kristen.
Hi there.
I am so glad that you were able to join us.
Well, I'm happy to be here.
I think that the most basic question, and the one that people are most interested in, is what inspired you to write this song?
Well, I probably all remember back before COVID, right before COVID, the news breaking that our government under the Trump administration had been detaining thousands of immigrant children from Central and South American countries. And they'd been keeping them under pretty deplorable conditions without food and clean clothes, no soap, toothbrushes, no medical care. There were more than 1,000 reports of sexual abuse, and at least 8 children died in custody during that period in our history, those 4 confounding years of the Trump administration. And that policy was deliberately cruel. It was intended to be cruel because they thought it would discourage entry into this country. And so after I learned about this, I couldn't sleep. I felt sick to my stomach all the time. And you don't have to have a child. If you know a child, if you've ever been a child, if you have a heart that's still beating in your body, you can feel how extensive and inhumane the damage our government had been doing. And then also I felt it must be stopped. But what can I do? This one person with one voice and one vote. So I did what I usually do when I'm confounded by something. I write about it.
Absolutely.
And I wrote Ghost of Abuelito. But I was not alone. I mean, people wrote books and songs and poems and created amazing and heartbreaking works of art about the children in detention, because art can sometimes be more effective and more articulate than the media in helping people wrap their minds around painful subjects. And they're able to join hands with others in an unbreakable chain of resolve and work for change. And it worked. People petitioned their government. They marched, they tweeted, they posted, they wrote letters, and they voted, most importantly. And as a result, the practice and policy of detaining children in this manner is ended. It no longer exists. So together, we have changed the course of history.
I really have to commend you on a couple of levels, particularly the fact that you kept it so personal. I mean, it's a very intimate story between a woman and her brother. It's just very, very, very moving. Let's share it with the audience now. The Ghost of Abuelito.
At the border, things got tense with our backs against the fence. All those uniforms and guns. Americanos took our mother in one direction and us the other, and we haven't seen our mother since. Inside 100 babies cry, and I can't stop myself from always asking why. When will my mama come to get me? Did she go off and forget me? And Miguel just takes my hand and sighs. He says the ghost of Abuelito comes to us when we're afraid. His spirit comes down from the stars, still smells of coffee and cigars. But when he is there, we'll both be brave. Abuelito wanted it that way.
Ooh, punched in the guts. I'm trying not to cry. I remember hearing this one the first time too, and feeling the same way. And I just want to hold the children that were separated from their parents in our hearts and in our minds right now, presently, because as a consequence of that policy, there are still children separated from their parents, and not all have been reunified. So that will be a generational trauma that will carry on, that we will have to work hard as a community and as a country to help heal. Next up, I want to bring to the virtual stage Shireen Amini.
Hello.
Hello. Shireen is a non-binary artist based in Portland, Oregon, who blends pop, rock, hip hop, Latin, and roots music with socially conscious themes. Woo! As a queer Puerto Rican, Puerto Rican, Iranian American, Shireen found music to be a lifeline growing up inside of oppressive cultural systems. I hear that. She pursued studies in ethnomusicology at UCLA, which deepened her training in percussion, and completed a certificate program in sound, voice, and music healing from CIIS in San Francisco, intensifying her belief in the healing power of music. Shireen currently serves her community as a teaching artist and facilitator through her project, Shireen Amini Music Medicine. Welcome. Hi, it's so nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you. Awesome to be here.
I love reading all about you. I wanted to ask, how does your role as a change maker influence your role as a musician?
I love this question. The truth is, I was a musician first. It was my way of catalyzing new awarenesses. I consider songwriting like a spiritual practice, and it honed my values and ideals. And the more that those were clear, the more it became clear that I did not see them reflected out in the world. So it's sort of necessarily made me someone who cared about changing the way things are. It's also very much as a change maker, I'm always inspired to bring content that's relevant to the issues happening now, but also that embody these values that I want to see. And I'm also pushed to constantly assess how am I bringing my artistry to the world? Are there any unconscious ways I'm bringing forward? Are there more new, innovative ways that I can be doing this that reflect the world I want to see?
Yeah. Have you written about the current situation happening in Iran with women rising up, really fighting the regime?
I'm still processing a lot of my own grief around it, but I did just finish a tour that raised money and awareness down through the West Coast, both about Iran and Puerto Rico, because Puerto Rico is also suffering from challenges in infrastructure and hurricane, climate change impacts. But my heart is deeply with the women of Iran, such brave humans who are doing collective work in the face of brutal government.
Yeah, absolutely. It's such a pleasure to meet you, and we're going to check out your music video right now. Here is Shireen Amini.
Thank you.
I was born with, come on in, if you want to share a real dish, hear my real wishes for this heart, for this planet, turning dreams into action. I'm not a nice friend, I'm a real friend. No more hiding from each other, that's the best place to begin. So tell me, are you out, are you in? Said I am gonna break myself free so you can see me, fully see me, all of me. You can decide if you will take me or you leave me. This world needs me to be me, all of me. Gonna break myself free. Gonna break myself free. Gonna break myself free. Gonna break myself free.
Awesome. It's always good to see a fellow Portlander on the screen. And Shireen, I love like the punk rock vibes that you bring to it. It really speaks to my heart personally. So thank you for your work. Now, our next artist of the night is Ruben Benny Esquerra. Benny arrived as a child in Toronto, Canada, from Bogota, Colombia, as a political refugee with his parents who were receiving threats for their own human rights activism. Now, today, he's a Juno-nominated multi-instrumentalist and producer. He's a spoken word poet, arts educator, a community worker. Benny has designed courses taught at Canadian universities, and he currently facilitates interactive virtual and in-person drumming, storytelling, and beat-making workshops in schools across Ontario. In 2021, he was chosen as the laureate of the Ontario Arts Foundation Arts Educator Award. Welcome, Benny.
Thank you. Peace and love, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here sharing this space with so many talented artists. Really a pleasure.
Benny, you wear so many different hats, from spoken word to music to education. I'm kind of curious, like, how do you choose the medium when you got something burning on your heart, like a message to share with the world? Do you hear certain sounds in your mind, or is it just kind of like choosing, like, how do you choose between like how to funnel that message?
I'm inspired by everything that's around me and all the issues that are around me that are affecting either my community or on a global level, um, everyone. And based on that, is how I decide to compose my music. So, for example, my latest album, which is called Northside Queasy, um, We Won't Let It Happen, is in that album, and it's a concept album where issues that were happening at the time, circa 2020, 2021, all of the different issues that were happening. So there's songs about, environmental justice, when the Amazon was on fire. And also in Australia, there were fires in the Congo. Um, and so that song came about because of that reason. We Won't Let It Happen is a song that encompassed many different issues, beginning with protests of resistance that were happening in Haiti, in Chile, Ecuador, Colombia, the US, Canada, that encompass so many different issues. There's a song about the mass migration, which is called Al Norte, that was taking place. So a lot of the issues that we're talking about right now, that's what the album was about. So really, it's all of those issues that uh, that I feel are urgent and that need to be written about. That's what makes me decide what to write on.
Yeah, well, I love the fact that your album is basically, like a bound collection of poetry, of expression of so many issues that are so pressing today. So thank you for your work, and let's take a listen.
Thank you.
They're trying to keep us down, pero eso no va. Nos quieren explotar, but we won't allow that. Censoring our leaders, disrespect frontline workers, criminalize our future, try and divert our purpose, drug us to sleep to get our consent, better refrain, split up the fam to conquer the land, never again. They're trying to keep us down, pero eso no va. Nos quieren explotar, but we won't allow that.
Whoa, 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 yeah, 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 woo! Latin fusion, woo! Thank you, Vinny. The next Hope artist is part of the Canadian folk pop duo Big Little Lions. I appreciate the story of their musical ingenuity during the pandemic, living thousands of kilometers apart. Now, I'm familiar with working with musicians through the internet. They were used to working remotely, but they had always enjoyed coming together to tour for live shows. With those shows canceled, the duo pledged to release a single a month throughout the pandemic. A single a month throughout the pandemic. Collectively, those songs have amassed 400,000 Spotify plays, a Canadian Folk Music Award nomination, an official showcase at the 2022 Folk Alliance International Conference, a Juno Award, I'm reading here, a John Lennon Songwriting Prize, and a new record deal with Fallen Tree Records. Hey, please welcome Canadian Helen Austin from the Big Little Lions.
Hello.
I'm sorry, before we get into the song, I got to ask you where Big Little Lions comes from.
Well, I'm the Canadian but British sounding lion. I'm the little one, as I'm like 5 foot tall. And Paul, who can't be here, he lives in Ohio and he's 6'4". So we don't know where the lions came from. It was just a random thing.
It doesn't have anything to do with "I Wonder Where the Lions Are," that Bruce Cockburn tune.
It has more to do with this sort of thing.
Oh, what a sweetheart!
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the song. Give us an intro.
Normally when Paul and I write, because we've been writing for years from afar, and It's been more subtle, more subtly activist, like, writing about different experience things we're seeing in the world, but in a more subtle way. And then when we were writing during the pandemic and Black Lives Matters blew up, I just thought this is not a time for subtlety. This is this, and the lyrics are, it's time to choose a side. There's no subtlety about that. It's like you're on one side of the other of this, and so it just kind of wrote itself through kind of sitting in this place of privilege as I do, with this accent and this skin color. I just like I don't know what else to do, and I live in a tiny town, so I couldn't go out and join the. So I thought, well, this is all I can do, really.
Have
So
you found, and so the response then is somewhat distanced from you because you're still living in the outskirts of the pandemic, or have you been able to take it to a live audience now?
We haven't taken that one to a live audience yet. It's been an interest. Yeah, it's interesting how what goes to live and what doesn't, because we live so far away and we have limited time to rehearse certain songs. And that one, I think, is going to live on the internet and live virtually, because it was such a specific moment in time. I mean, obviously it goes on, and
well, when you finally unveil it in its live form, I'm sure that you will discover that kind of visceral weirdness where people are absolutely enthralled by the message. Why hasn't somebody said it like that before? And you may even get some resistance. I can remember with Peter and Mary doing El Salvador, and it was the only time ever we got booed at our concerts because of the position that we had taken. So let's see if the home audience will boo this as they hear this wonderful, wonderful song from Big Little Lions.
Yes, tear it all down. I'm with that. Burn it to the ground so we can rebuild, of course. And we have to think about what we imagine, what is the community, what is the society we want to reimagine. I love that. I hope you're enjoying this. I'm having so much fun. Of course, this is all about the release of the Hope Rises 2 compilation album. And up next, we have artist, activist, dancer, singer, and actress who empowers women and inspires hope for us all. Branjay Jackson. Branjay is the personification of Black American music. She asks why not through her music, challenges listeners to embrace their natural selves. Branjay's music remains in touch with the human experience in a creative way and encourages elevated consciousness through her focus on creating unity and harmony. Her style of storytelling keeps it real while constantly evolving based on her truths. Welcome, Branjay.
Hi.
Am I saying your name right?
Yes, you are.
Okay, great. I just wanted
Happy
to
to
make
be
sure.
here.
It's so nice having you.
Thank
So
you.
your song Free Facts that's on the compilation, tell me what inspired you to write it.
Truly, I began to look around the last few years at my environment, and I noticed a lack of individual thought. Everyone was being really manipulated by, the media's ideas and the ideas that society in general puts in place. I noticed that we were almost locked into a program, a lack of desire to search for the whole truth and facts and information, holding on to those biases that, or just holding on to the information that backs those biases individually. So I wanted to write a song that inspired us to open up, look at the whole picture, and then make decisions based on what we truly believe.
Beautiful. I love it. All right, well, let's check out the music video
Thank you.
for Free Facts. Here's Brand J. Jackson.
Fully understand this is human behavior. Hold on to the notion of at least sworn by the ignorance just won't change us. Can't swim the scientists sidestepping evidence. I'ma need the facts to set us free. Only the facts can set us free. I'ma need the facts to set us free. Do you wanna be free? I'ma need the facts.
I think many folks can see that in addition to having such incredible music on this album, some of these artists are super talented in bringing the visuals and storytelling by combining the sound with a visual medium. It's such a powerful experience. And I hope that you'll join me in purchasing the album and supporting the great work here. So up next, we have Doug Komar. He's an award-winning singer-songwriter based near Portland, Maine, the other Portland. And since moving to Maine about 20 years ago, he's actually focused on writing and performing songs that connect with audiences by telling stories of everyday struggles with warmth, empathy, and a touch of dark humor. Doug's fourth full-length solo record, So Said Life, was produced with Judd Caswell and was released in April, reaching number 34 on the FAI folk chart. And you'll actually hear it on the Hope Rises 2 album as well. As the president of the Maine Songwriters Association, Doug also works to provide opportunities and education for songwriters in the region. Please give it up for Doug.
Hi, Simon. How are you?
Hey, doing well. Thanks so much for being a part of the evening, as well as this album. You know, we'd love to know a little bit more about your work. Like, so you're really involved with the folk music scene in general, like, and you work with a ton of songwriters. How does that influence your own work?
Well, it's I mean, it's a sort of a responsibility, and so I think that when you're working with other songwriters, you're obviously inspired with them, and we talk a lot about craft, and but also an awful lot about inspiration and process, and I think that there are a lot of people who are have a lot of trepidation about writing about social change issues, and that's a topic that we talk about in terms of how to approach that, and and I think music is so powerful in the fact that it engages you on many different levels, and it can be a wonderful way to get across a social change message because you're reaching someone at a point when their heart and their minds tend to be much more open. So we talk about often how to introduce those kinds of topics in a song by focusing on the creative language and the way that you're bringing it in, and engaging the person first with that kind of kinesthetic and emotional and empathetic environment that you can put that message into.
And so what went into the process with your own song that we're sharing tonight? Can you share a little bit about the inspiration behind it?
Sure. I mean, it started with the title phrase, So Said Life, and as I was thinking about my own process, which is very much around sort of just listening to what's going on in the world and in life and asking questions about it, I took that phrase came to me, and I started taking it really literally. Like, what would life be saying? What would the sort of spiritual and natural life forces around us be talking about? And I knew it would have to be something very, very puzzling and deep, and this endless inability of us to be at peace with each other really struck me as being, something that would be of such a large consequence that those life forces would be discussing it.
Yeah. So let's hear what those life forces are discussing with So Said Life.
Thanks so much.
If we are hopeless, then will we know? We wasted seeds we were meant to sow. And hope dies when seeds lay barren, with no breeze or bird to bear them. Be the bird, be the breeze, so said life.
Oh, Dad and I used to do these shows live, as we were mentioning, from Kerrville, and sometimes I would get up on the stage in between the songs with tears in my eyes as I would try to introduce the next person, or I would choke up knowing the song that was going to come by introducing the next person. Anyway, it's so wonderful to be here with y'all tonight. So we have some shout outs though. Hang on. We got some shout outs. So Holly Neer. Oh my gosh. Hello, Holly. I know Holly has bought the album. Lorraine Gates, Diana Stallard. Hope I'm getting that right. Stallard, and Katie Olmstead, and Wynn Grace. And Sarah, our operations person, is holding back names. She's like, I'm just going to give you a few at a time, so you have something to say. So there's shout out at each moment. So thank you all so much for your support. What I want to do now is I want to share, it's been such a journey for us, for Dad and I to be growing this organization. And there's this wonderful video. I want to thank Kevin Merritt from One Foot Productions for putting this together a few years ago, but I think it still holds true. So this is what we consider our sort of vision video, where Dad gets to talk a little bit about what Music to Life means to him. So we'll cue that up.
The 60s, in terms of its potential to galvanize people, seemed so much easier because the issues were so clear, not so diffracted. Nowadays, the issues are so diverse and so competitive almost for your attention that, thank goodness, we have a raft of young singers and songwriters who are addressing each one of these, sometimes in their own communities, whether it's teenage suicide, whether it's homelessness, whether it's the environmental issue. There's something that happens to an audience, even if it's only 6, 10, 12 people, who, because of music, understand the situation in their hearts and emotionally as a group of people who laugh together or sing together, share a deeper opportunity to be concerned. It's often been said, and I believe, that music unlocks the heart so that the mind can learn. I have a great deal of hope for the future of activist music, as long as those activists are not operating out of a platform of despair. And that's what the exciting aspect, I think, of Music to Life is. Most of these artists see a problem, but they're most hopeful because inherently in seeing the problem is the desire to offer a solution or steps towards a solution. I'm gonna start a revolution. I'm gonna take it to the street. I'm gonna smile at every solitary person that I meet. I'm gonna wave at total strangers, no matter where they're from. I'm gonna start a revolution. Yeah, I'm gonna win it one one by one. I love the fact that it's just an acoustic guitar trying to do its best. I mean, really, what did Woody have, when he sang about the Grand Coulee Dam and deportees, and and what did Pete have but a banjo, and what does Amanda Pascali have but a guitar and a great heart? She's released music, performed internationally, including packed houses in Italy, which is where she is right now, by the way, and Romania, and Norway, and the United States. But right now she's in Italy. Often referred to as a young female and Italian Bob Dylan, she has championed for the rights of immigrants, worked alongside me and Liz as graduate of Music to Life Accelerator training, and now a Music to Life board member. That's not B-O-R-E-D, that's B-O-A-R-D, you understand, because we are a volatile organization. Her music, now coined immigrant American folk, I wouldn't call it that, man. I think it's much more appealing than that. World American folk delivers a powerful narrative on being too far in here, too far in for home, and never enough for both. Amanda, it is great to be with you again.
Thank you so much, Noel, and thank you, Liz, and the entire team here tonight. I'm really happy to be part of such an incredible compilation album as part of such an incredible group of artists and activists.
I was first aware of your Italian heritage in a song that you did, I can't remember, maybe 5-6 years ago. How has that, do you feel that you're on that your concerns have broadened now, even though you've returned to your home?
Well, I was born in New York City in the US. So if there's anywhere that's home for me, it's wherever my family is. And my immediate family is in Houston, Texas, the most diverse city in America, in a place where I think almost everyone can relate to feeling like the other or feeling like they're from somewhere else, because everybody truly is from somewhere else. Right now I'm in Italy, but I did grow up in Houston, and that's shaped my music a lot.
That used to be the description of New York, right? It was the melting pot, right? You're saying Houston is now?
Houston statistically is the most diverse city in the country as of right now in 2022.
Tell me about your modesty instrumentally. I mean, I think you play bitchin' guitar, but have you surrounded yourself with a huge band now when you do your performances?
Yeah, I love playing with other musicians, especially my husband and best friend who plays the violin and the cello and the mandolin with me on stage, but also a lot of other talented members of the Houston music community, especially the Latin music community and the jazz community, which is really thriving in Houston. It's fun to play with people from all walks of life culturally and musically.
Well, tell us a little bit about the song, and then we'll watch it / hear it.
Yeah, so my song Temporary Home, like a lot of my songs, is about the story of my family as immigrants in America. Specifically, this one is the story of my dad coming to America for the first time with no money and no connections as a political refugee from communist Romania. After he sought and was granted asylum in New York City, he met and fell in love with my mom, also an immigrant and a rebel in her own way. And I was basically born out of rebellion and love.
Let's hear it. Let's watch it. Amanda Pascali. Great to see you, dear.
Thank you.
Turn you around, no, turn you around, no, turn you around. Ain't gonna let nobody turn you around, no, where do you belong? I said ain't gonna let nobody turn you around, no, turn you around, no. Ain't gonna let nobody turn you around.
I'm just having the best time here tonight. Oh my gosh. Wow. Just beautiful. All of it. The visuals, the music, the lyrics. Our next featured artist has spent her life performing professionally as a singer, multi-instrumentalist, songwriter, and dancer who specializes in roots-based Americana and percussive dance. Please welcome Ellie Grace. She first took to the stage as a young member of her family band and now tours internationally as a solo artist and a member of several beloved bands. When not on the road, Ellie leads a folk community chorus in Kansas City. At the end of 2019, she released a highly anticipated solo album of all original songs. On the Side of Love. Her song with Brian Claflin, Gonna Walk It With You, was featured on the Hope Rises debut album back in 2020. Welcome, Ellie.
Hi, Maya. I'm so glad to be here.
Are you having fun? This is pretty amazing, right?
I know, it's incredible. We're so lucky to be here, to be at this time with this music happening.
I know. And just with all, as I like to say, artivists, artists, activists, artivists. So, the question we're asking tonight about what inspired you to write this song and what does this song say about your work as a change maker?
I would say the main thing this song says about my work as both a change maker and a musician is that what I seek to do in all of it is help people feel less alone in their struggle, in their joy, to know that they are being seen and they're lifted up by others. Community is something that really helps us survive this wild world. And I was inspired to write the song. It's called Up, thinking about and feeling kind of the weight of the ongoing struggle, the journey of activism, the journey of living in this world as a woman, as a queer person, and imagining that same weight and struggle for so many people. And how do you find the strength to keep going, to keep fighting the good fight, to keep standing up, rising up, holding up what you love in the face of everything. And so music to me is one of the ways that you find that strength. And this song is about rising up in all the different ways and how we keep going and help each other keep going.
That's beautiful, and it's so needed. I don't know what this world would be like without music, right? It's like, and without these songs that really help us through these hard times. So
right.
that was
recognize that we're not the only ones on this journey,
right? I think most of it is the witnessing. When I do collective songwriting workshops, it's like, it's not about the song necessarily being written, it's the witnessing of each other's testimonies. Like we're sharing our experiences.
Yeah, and building connection.
That's it. Beautiful. Well, I can't wait to check out a little snippet of your song and listen to it on all streaming services or buy the CD here.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. Here is Ellie Grace.
Bye.
Get up, my sister, rise up, my brother, stand up, all my neighbors, and hold up what you love. Rise up from your troubles and face another day. I know your path is rough and rocky, but you'll slowly find your way to a place a little clearer, to a heart open wide. Rise up from your troubles and see what's on the other side. Get up, my sister, rise up, my brother, stand up, all my neighbors, and hold up what you love. Stand
Rise up. How powerful. The next artist of the night is Gina Loring, African American, Eastern European, Jewish, Muskogee Creek Native American descent. Gina is a poet, singer, songwriter, activist, and professor. Described as one of the best poets of her generation, she's performed in over 10 countries as a cultural envoy of the American Embassy and has been commissioned to write poems for Greenpeace, De La Soul, McLean Thomas, and Quincy Jones. Please welcome Gina Loring.
Hello.
Hey, Gina. So tell us a little bit about your song, Free the Land. What was the inspiration behind it?
I think Nina Simone said it best. An artist's duty is to reflect the times. And of course, within the realm of activism, there are many lanes. We need organizers, folks to protest, folks working on legislation. Shout out to the squad, love me some AOC. And then folks like us who contribute through art, through poetry and music. So this song was written during the last administration. I know we touched on this tonight because it's such an important topic. There was a lot going on with immigration, and what always stands out to me about that topic is the selective memory around history and how this country came to be. The majority, if not all, of the folks who are serving as literal gatekeepers are themselves descendants of immigrants, many of whom came here illegally and certainly seized this land immorally, and continue to break treaties with indigenous communities. And then what's also true is the majority of families who are being separated and held captive are descendants of people indigenous to this land. So it's that communal insanity, it's that hypocrisy, that complete lack of acknowledgement that led me to write this song.
Yeah, and I think just even recognizing that art and music in particular is oftentimes that social mirror. And I think that oftentimes, much like the rest of the songs in this compilation, there is still a sense of hope. So it's not just a mirror. That same piece of glass could also be a window into possibility. And so thank you so much for your work that you're doing. And please, let's take a listen to the song.
Thank you guys so much. And much love to all the other artists. You guys have really inspired me tonight.
Money, money, money. All you care about is money. Your hands are dirty. Blood on your soul. You know, and I know, the emperor has no clothes, and that's where hate comes in. You guilty, no repentance, subconscious self-awareness of your own incompetence. Check your Akashic records, you got filthy karma. From the slave trade to sweatshops to big pharma, generational trauma, attacks, atomic bombs, smallpox, broken treaties, and trust used as a pawn. Came with guns, ill intentions, violations of humanity. It's communal insanity, the fate of the world is at stake. That's a prophecy. Casinos don't heal the trail of tears of wounded knee. Same mentality, Standing Rock is proof. Wish we had a magic wand, make you disappear like poof. Missing a moral compass, you ain't right with the wind. Living on stolen land, you ain't right with the wind. Benefit from genocide, you ain't right with the wind. And the sky records it all.
You haven't started your healing journey.
Healing starts now, let's begin.
I mean, so you got to admit that these videos are just powerful accompaniment. That's beautifully done. I'm really pleased to bring a Nashvilleian into the mix now. A singer-songwriter and pianist, Aaron English. Aaron's music blends American rock and roll with the traditional music of Africa. You'll hear it. Brazil, Ireland, and the Middle East. I mean, talk about a melting pot, right? Highlights of his career include a song on the Fox TV drama Bones, a top 5 radio hit in Italy, a top 20 radio hit in the United States. And in 2015, Aaron founded a charity, the International Youth Music Project. It supports music programs for orphaned and refugee children in East Africa. Welcome, most welcome, Aaron. Great to have you here tonight.
Thank you, Noel. I'm thrilled to be here.
Yeah, I enjoyed I enjoyed your how shall I say, the rehearsal time before, when you had this luminous light behind you that looked like a halo.
There we go. Yeah.
Yeah. And to a large extent, I would imagine that you avoid the kind of taking credit for the music that you do, because it's a gift, actually. I mean, certainly you recognize your talent as a gift, but to be able to give back to the world in the manner that you do, how aware are you of the impact that gift has on your audiences and on the people who listen to you?
I come from a family of teachers and professors, so I know at least that you are the stone that's thrown into the pond, and then the ripples go off, as far as the horizon. You can't know. That's part of its power.
How did you collect this tune? I mean, this is a pretty admirable collection of people you have on this.
Thanks. 9 different musicians from 8 different countries. And these are all friends of mine. So at the beginning of the pandemic, I started reaching out to them because we couldn't go anywhere. And I said, how about we make a song together? The Italian drummer was the one who started it. He reached out and he said, we can't even leave our houses. I can't visit my grandma down the street or my fiance across town. So I'm just drumming. How about some music?
It was great. Well, what you turned it into was really remarkable. Tell us about the lyric of the tune, though. I was struck by its spareness.
Great. Well, in the Big Little Lions segment, the phrase "This is not a time for subtlety," I think, came up, and that resonated with me. We were all stuck inside, and in the middle of this was at the peak of the protests following the George Floyd event. So we were isolated and angry and scared. And I reached out to 2 friends who were, one is a hip hop star in Pakistan, another is a dance hall star in Kenya, East Africa's. We stripped it down to the bone, for sure. There was no room for poetry. It was definitely a direct message.
Yeah, and powerful. Let's hear it now. Aaron English.
Keep on moving, all you fighters, all you lovers, hold on tightly, hold on tightly. Yeah, just like that. Come on, head up, just like that. Yeah, just like that. Gotta carry that weight like that. Hey, can't take my pride. Steady on, hold on, can't take my pride. Hey, can't take my pride. Like a lion, can't take my pride. Hey, can't take my pride. Steady on, hold on, can't take my pride. Hey, can't take my pride. Like a lion, can't take my pride.
Yeah, I was getting into it. I was like, oh, I'm up next. That was so good. Next up, I would like to introduce to you all Lauren Adams and Soul Development, who unfortunately can't be with us this evening, but I'd like to offer some background. Lauren is a singer-songwriter, musician, producer, and educator at the Roses in Concrete Community School, a social justice-based visual and performing arts and dual immersion school dedicated to growing strong leaders, visionaries, and dreamers. She's a member of Soul Development, an Oakland-based hip-hop, jazz, and soul ensemble, and Be Imaginative, a collective dedicated to healing Black and Brown communities through storytelling. In healing circles and musical experiences, members of Soul Development channel their grief and love into tangible support for mothers whose children have been taken by gun violence. Let's hear a clip of Lauren's song from the album.
He complied and she complied. And then they killed them, then they lied, and let him by, and let her by. Tell me why, oh, tell me why they killed my brother, my sister, my mother, killed my father and his grandfather. God our Father in the big blue sky, hear our cry. Hear our cry.
Last but certainly not least for tonight, Joe Jenks. Joe is a 25-year veteran of the international folk circuit, an award-winning songwriter and celebrated vocalist based in the Chicago area. He's known for his music of social consciousness, and he's penned several #1 folk songs, including the ever-relevant Lady of the Harbor. Coincidentally, that's the song you're going to hear on Hope Rises 2. His 2017 CD, Poets, Philosophers, Workers, and Wanderers, earned a #1 artist, #1 album, and a #1 song on the North American Folk DJ chart, as well as spent several weeks on at #1 on Sirius XM Americana charts. Joe is also a dual U.S.-Irish citizen and served as a cultural ambassador with the U.S. State Department. Joe, welcome to Hope Rises 2 tonight.
Thank you so much. What an immense pleasure to be here.
So please tell us a bit more about Lady of the Harbor. What was the inspiration behind the song?
The inspiration behind the song was an awareness of dishonesty in the narrative about immigration in this country, and people who clearly had ancestors that immigrated from many other parts of the world becoming incredibly xenophobic and expressing hatred toward immigrants. And I thought, well, maybe if I own my story, that just doing that piece of it, that I make room for other people's story as well. And I make it safer for more people to own their story. And so I visited Ellis Island that year, and I walked up the stone steps that my granddad Felix walked up in 1914 as an immigrant from Ireland. And I looked out and I saw the Statue of Liberty there, the Lady of the Harbor, and it was riding in my head. And then later that year, I was performing at the Kerrville Festival in Kerrville, Texas. And a report came over the radio that 4 Hopi had been arrested in Arizona for not having proper green cards. And the ludicrous nature of indigenous people being arrested for not, having green cards was just absolutely bonkers to me. And those two experiences just fused together, and the song came out of me, Stream of Consciousness. And I played it that night on main stage at Kerrville. And about 3/4 of the audience gave me a standing ovation, and about 1/4 of the audience didn't stand up or clap at all. And I thought, well, okay, now I know I'm speaking the truth, because I've got a response from people that isn't in the affirmative, and it's easy sometimes as a performer to just pitch those pebbles in the pond that will get you a positive response. And I feel like it's so rare that we actually get to deliver a message to people who might think differently than we do. And to have the privilege of standing on a stage for the last 25 years and doing that in a way that invites people's hearts to open and to receive new ideas in a way that's invitational. That's about working for change, but doing it in a way that's about inviting people into a conversation. I really think that's what I was hoping to do with the conversation around the song. And I think that's what the song has done. I'm very touched that people have listened to it and responded to it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the very best art is disruptive. When you think about the act of planting seeds, you're literally needing to move dirt aside. And as the plant emerges, something new can grow. And I think songs like Lady of the Harbor are doing just that. We're planting seeds and hopefully making room for compassion and for empathy for others for that to flourish in other people. So
I hope so.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I hope that's really what's happening. I really hope that people are opening their hearts to hearing new stories. And I don't know that it's ever been more important for people to own their stories. So mine is one of immigration from multiple countries over multiple centuries to this continent, But there's no way that you can include everybody's story in one song. It doesn't include the people who were here for many centuries, the ones that say we didn't cross the border crossed us. It doesn't include the indigenous whose lands were taken from them, those that were brought here as persons enslaved, the ones that came with no luggage at all. There are so many stories that need to be told, but my hope is that as songwriters, when we brave telling these stories, that it is invitational. And I think the more that people can own their own story, the less threatening another person's story becomes, and the more we're able to really celebrate each other. And music is a beautiful way to do that. So I really want to say what an honor and privilege it is to be a part of this compilation CD, Hope Rises 2. What a joy it is to be working with the Music to Life Foundation and to be a part of the work that's ongoing in this community, and offer my thanks to all of the artists who are speaking truth. It's just an honor to be a part of this.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, thank you so much for your work. And let's take a listen to the song.
From far away and distant lands, the tempest tossed with hopeful hearts and calloused hands reach toward the light, the torch held high, and cast their gaze upon the lady of the harbor. And she welcomes them with open arms. She says, let my children in. Shine on, shine on, oh you lady of the harbor.
Thank you. Oh my gosh. This is an amazing night. I am having a blast too. I am just so moved, and to joy, to tears, to inspiration. It's just all there. It's an incredible show. Thank you so much, everybody, for being with us. Some more shout outs. Nancy Buffington, Karen Hudson, Ken Fritz, David Counts, Dan Wetzel, Veronica Perez Picasso, our very own director of programs, by the way, Steve Cahill, Andy Ogawa. I hope I'm getting that right. Thank you all so much. And I get to be NPR girl again. So roll the video, please. Brandon. Time to grab your phones if you haven't already, or again, if you're so moved. Scan that QR code or visit the web link and get your very own copy. As everybody has been saying, you must have a copy of this commemorative CD. It's a wallet that it's more than just the two. It opens up in thirds, and it's super cool. Or you could get a tote bag or a magnet or an autographed poster. Or maybe you'd just like to make a donation so we can keep doing more of these. And that link is available also in the chat. Any questions, email us at info@musictolife. Thank you again for your purchase and your support. And I just want to say a little bit more about where your contributions and your support go. So as I've said, we activate hundreds of these musician changemakers across the country every year. Some are involved in our accelerator training. You heard that mentioned about Amanda, who's a graduate of our training, where they receive a toolkit of entrepreneurial skills and a blueprint so that they can develop sustainable music-driven social change programs in their communities. Others get connected with us through our performance platforms, where we lift their music and their social change work into the public eye, which is what's happening right now with Hope Rises. And then others get connected with each other through our national network. They become mentors, they meet arts and social justice leaders, and they tap into professional development and collaborative opportunities. So there is something for talented musicians at every age and stage of their work as change agents. We are here for them. Music to Life is here for them. And now you are here for them with your purchase and your support. So we are so grateful. I'd love to bring the panelists out one more time with Dad, maybe.
Yeah.
Collect ourselves together here on the screen.
And this is the most wonderful presentation I've seen from Music to Life. It is difficult in this age to create a dynamic involving kind of Zoom presentation. I think, Simon, your post comments, it started me thinking, of course, I want to comment on the song that just happened before, you know?
Right.
They were beautiful. And Maya, you just were lovely, lovely, lovely. And you guys, Joe Jenks.
I know we can see them all. Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't mention Ukraine Now, you know, which he's contributed his mandolin part two. This is an amazing, you know, for me. I'm an old fart. All right. I grew up in I really came to understand the value of music in social media and the change that it could make in the world around us in the 60s. Standing next to Mary in 1963 on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial when she said, "We are watching history." I am so thankful that my heart has embraced that music that speaks to the world around us rather than being showbiz, you know, rather than, I mean, granted, there's still room, like Paul McCartney said, for a love song, because actually, if there is an answer to everything that we face as a world, it's love. But to see it expressed in all of these finite little ways, I thank you so much, and I'm so privileged to be a part of this world that my daughter has commandeered. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Yeah. And I would love to also offer that they are love songs. You know, all of our songs are of social justice. It's because we love, you know, we love humanity. We love each other. We want everyone to live dignified lives and to have access to all the wonderful things, you know, and to be treated fairly. And I think I think they are love songs.
Absolutely. I think just as much as an act of dissent is also an act of patriotism as well. It's an act of love. It's an act of courage. And so, you know, that form of expression is also a form of art. And so I'd love to see it being all brought together here with folks from many different parts of the world, many different backgrounds, generations, passions, but all with the same frame of mind, which is love and justice and providing the kind of world that we would like to see for our, you know, children, our children's children.
Amen.
Amen. Well, let's do more of this together, you guys. This was so amazing, and we have to give a special shout out to Brandon, our producer.
Yeah, thanks, Brandon.
I mean, really, this is it. Yeah, behind the scenes really makes it work, and you know, and Paige has been working the Facebook and the YouTube chats, and you know, Randy's been working it, and Sarah's been sending me the names. So it's a group effort, and I just want to thank you all. Just want to thank you all. So and please keep in touch with us. You know, you're going to buy some things today. Maybe you're going to make a donation, but we have so much more coming, and I think you all might know this, but we're really starting to spread this kind of training and this work with artists around the country. So we were just in Tulsa last week training 11 more amazing artist activists. And in 23, we're going to start to work in Detroit. We're going to Hartford, Connecticut. We're going to Atlanta. We're going to Boise. We're going to Huntsville. We're going to the Twin Cities. And each time we drop into one of these cities, we produce an online showcase, and Brandon's going to be behind every one to introduce you to the talent that we're finding and the social projects that we're discovering. So this is just going to keep kind of unfolding. So be sure to join that mailing list so you don't miss anything. I think it's in the chat. If you're not finding it in the chat, you can always just write us an email at info@musictolife.org. So love it.
Hooray.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you both so much. Thank you, Dad. Thank you, everyone who's back there. I wish you could see everybody.
Yeah, backstage, right?
Backstage, right?
You guys are all backstage.
They are. And everybody hang out, because we're gonna have a little after party back, you know.
Cheers to you.
Cheers. Cheers. Thank you all so much.